The Dale Show.
Warm up the vocal cords.
Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow.
Watermelon turkey, turkey watermelon, watermelon turkey. Oh wait, that's background. Never mind.
Welcome to the Dale Show, part
Hello.
2 of our Cryptid Countdown. Ranks 19-1, which is awkward, but we started with an awkward number 37, but hey, what are you gonna do?
We're not mathematists.
Yeah. Oh, and also another thing we screwed up on was last episode 18. This is 19 by extrapolation. You could have guessed. Anyways, in episode 18, we ended with number 20, the Loch Ness Monster. But I forgot to give you the alsos. If you, for whatever reason, didn't want to sit through the last episode and you only want to hear the top 19 cryptids, the alsos are when you have something like the Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot, and then you have a whole bunch of, I guess, copycat cryptids, then I just put them in the alsos. That's also the reason why we ended up with 37 instead of a nice round number like 50, was because I took all the ones out that were similar. Yeah. So like Loch Ness Monster was 20, and the alsos are Izzy, a Japanese lake monster said to lurk in Lake Ikeda on Kyushu Island. Kusi is a Japanese lake monster said to be living in Hokkaido's lake. Mamlambo is a deity in South Africa and Zulu mythology, the goddess of rivers. Now this one's weird because it's a deity and it's like a mythological creature and such, but it had the same characteristics of Loch Ness Monster, so that's why I put it in here, even though the jury's still out on if deities and mythology counts as cryptids, but some of them we're counting as just because we want to talk about them, and it's our show and we can do whatever we want.
Do whatever we want.
Whatever we want.
I like that there will be some alsos coming up on on some of the ones in the top 19 as well, right? Like we got a couple. Yeah, there's a couple of really good solid ones in there, and there's some that I want to touch on when you touch on some other ones. We'll all just touch stuff together.
Yeah, we're gonna touch stuff. And the last also for Nahuelito, I think I nailed that, is a cryptid lake monster purported to live in Nahuel Huapi Lake, Patagonia, Argentina.
Where the shirts come from.
Yeah.
Patagonia. all the dude bros wear those.
Dude bro. So now that we're done the housekeeping from the last episode, let's start fanfare, confetti canyons, number 19-1 of the Cryptid Countdown. Cryptid Countdown. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday on the Cryptid Countdown.
You'll buy the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
So coming in at number 19 is Slenderman. Slenderman.
Neither that does not describe either of us.
No, it does not. And I was never I can't even say I was slender in my youth, because I've always been chubby. Yeah. I've always been a husky fella.
I've fluctuated quite a bit. Yeah. I was Slenderman for a brief time.
Slenderman
twice. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Slenderman's a good one because it is a prime example. I know we had that one Ningen that was like a made up one on the internet.
That was the whale. That was the whale one in Japan. That was like a man whale. Ningen?
Yeah, it was like a beluga with a human face.
Yeah.
Anyway, Slenderman is really good because it's the most popular, and we got to watch it evolve real time, and everybody knew what was going on, because before we did this list, I'd never heard of the Ningen, but I had heard of the Slenderman, and I even watched that documentary where those two girls like went nuts and stabbed their friend when they were like 12. So
2009 is the origin of Slenderman. So like that's sort of the first appearance. And where I saw it was that website somethingawful.com. I don't know if you remember that. I wasted some time in 2009 looking at that website. But yeah, that's where Slenderman sort of originated. And it's funny, man. Like I watch my son play Minecraft every once in a while.
Yeah.
The children are very into the Minecrafts.
I've played Minecraft.
You have? Okay.
A lot, because it's been out for like
a
10
long
years
time.
almost. Yeah.
So there's a character called the Enderman.
Yeah, they're these guys that
tall, black,
yeah,
lanky figure.
and it's funny because they show up and they start just moving blocks, whether it's your house or like a mountain or anything. But if you look at them, then they'll attack you. And they are actually based on the Slenderman.
They're based on Slenderman, yeah, which I thought was really funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stole your thunder there. Go ahead. You can talk about
No, it's fine.
All right.
You hit on a lot of the points. So I just want to say.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's good. Because we do have 19 to get through. And the whole reason this turned into a 2-part list was because we spent too much time with them. So that will cut us down. So what happened was, where does it say? So Slenderman was created on June 10th, 2009 on a thread of Something Awful internet forum. The thread was a Photoshop contest in which users were challenged to create paranormal images. Forum poster Eric Knudsen, under the pseudonym Victor Surge, contributed 2 black and white images of groups of children, to which he added a tall, thin, spectral figure wearing a black suit. Although previous entries had consisted solely of photographs, Surge supplemented his submission with snatches of text, supposedly from witnesses, describing the abductions of the groups of children and giving the character the name the Slender Man. The quote under the first photo read, "We didn't want to go, we didn't want to kill them, but its persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comforted us at the same time." 1983, photographer unknown, presumed dead. The quote under the second photograph read, "One of 2 recovered photographs from the Sterling City Liberty Blaze, notable for being taken the day which 14 children vanished and for what is referred to as the Slender Man. Deformity cited as film defects by officials. Fire at library occurred 1 week later. Actual photograph confiscated as evidence. 1986, photographer Mary Thomas, missing since June 13th, 1986.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically what happened. And then it kind of, everybody liked it and it got so popular. And then it's like, it kind of almost turned into a tulpa. And that's a thing where enough people put psychic energy into a thought of something, it becomes real. And then that's how, like, these girls, they heard about Slenderman, and then like all basic fan fiction started on the internet saying what he did and what he didn't do. And there was this sort of thing where it was like Slenderman would abduct kids, but they were like, it was like a Pied Piper thing where he would take care of them and they would go live in like an enclave in the forest somewhere, and they'd have like a little like communist like utopia or something. Like, I guess the same way kids are, where they're like, don't really understand what true evil is. So they take like evil beings and turn them into anti-heroes to help them escape what they don't like about their life and stuff. So these 2 girls, in order to impress Slenderman so they could go join his enclave, they invited their friend out to the woods, and then they stabbed her a bunch of times trying to kill her, and then they ran away, but she crawled to safety and lived. I can't remember what the documentary's called.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that one. So the Slenderman, the whole story of the Slenderman is kind of like the first user-generated cryptid, almost, right? Like it's like a Wikipedia entry for like all things creepy, and people just sort of kept contributing to like what it became.
Exactly. And like, it's probably not the first one, but it's the first mainstream one that everybody knows.
I don't know anybody who doesn't know what Slenderman is.
Yeah, I don't need cryptid hipsters telling me that it wasn't the first one and that we were wrong and stuff.
Yeah.
Because for all intents and purposes, I only liked Slenderman until he got popular. Then he really released some mainstream.
Before Slenderman, it was on tape. Fucking goober.
Okay.
Anyway,
number 18.
Hey, that's not
Owlman.
No, okay. I had a question about Owlman.
Yeah.
So
it's not the guy from Watchmen.
Okay, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's Night Owl, actually, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not the same. Not the same guy.
This is so high on the list because it's on the last episode, for those who didn't watch the first episode, there's a lot of these get on this list and high ranked for the dumbest reasons that I either find funny or stupid. And this is one of the stupid ones, because basically there's a whole bunch of people who saw this, or one guy who saw this man that looked like an owl, and it turns out it was a big owl. It was back in the 70s. Like, I don't know.
So all of the 70s and the like 60s generated cryptids, they all seem to be like hallucination induced. Have you ever noticed that? Like, so hearkening back to our previous podcast, if you want to go back and through the volumes 16, 17-ish for MK Ultra, there was a lot of experimental drug things happening and people seeing a lot of shit. So you see all these like 60s and 70s and 80s cryptids popping up, and they're all like, oh my god, I saw an Owlman. And it was just a big owl that a guy saw, but was tripping balls, so saw a big owl.
Yeah, another thing I heard on the last podcast on the left was they're explaining why there's so many serial killers in the 70s and stuff. Basically one of their theories was that since gas was leaded back then, pretty much the entire population had lead poisoning just from breathing exhaust.
Totally.
And lead poisoning makes you like aggravated and more like prone to outbursts and stuff. So they're saying that the aggression that these serial killers had might have been from that.
Yeah, I don't know anything about lead, but I know about cars, and those cars were super inefficient, and they're just sitting there chugging on those like 4-lane highways, and it's nothing but like noxious exhaust fumes coming up. That makes a lot of sense.
And back then, a lot of dudes were too proud to wear glasses as well.
Oh yeah,
which me and Jeff currently aren't. I'm wearing contacts, but Jeff wears glasses. If you watched past episodes, but I remember like I still know a couple older dudes.
Yeah,
who are like
wear them.
Boomers who are like they need glasses, but they just won't get them.
Totally.
And you're like, just get glasses. Like,
I hate wearing them. They're like crap all over them all the time. They reflect, my ring light reflects in them. They're dumb. They're so stupid. They have like no peripheral vision.
They are a pain in the ass, but not seeing is so much
way worse. Yeah. So anyway, what does that have to do with anything? You didn't explain why the not wearing glasses.
Like saying that a huge owl looks like a man owl might just be because you have bad eyesight.
Yeah, totally. And okay, that makes sense. Yeah, totally. That looks like a dude. That's an owl.
And the brain has a weird thing where it's developed this shorthand with your vision where it's like you can't focus on everything at once. So your brain, like whatever you're focusing on, your brain just kind of fills in the peripherals, like kind of like an AI. So if you see something from a distance and you don't know what it is, your brain like tries to put something on it so you can like focus on, I don't know, guess back when we're cavemen running away from jaguars and stuff.
Yeah. This is one of the leading causes of motorcycle crashes. This is a PSA moment here for us. This is because of that same thing why it happens in your neighborhood, because when you're driving, you're looking left and your brain fills in what you've seen left every single time you leave your driveway. Right? So you don't see a motorcycle coming because you see cars coming 90% of the time, or almost like 98% of the time, right? So you just turn out to the left because your brain is filling in that quickness. You're like, I don't see a car, so I'm just going to turn left. And then that's how a lot of these accidents happen. So it's that exact same thing. It's like what you were explaining about your brain, especially in familiar surroundings. It fills in the details. It's like when you drive by a tree for 10 years and then they pull that tree out, but your brain sometimes still sees that tree when you're driving by.
That's super a good weird point.
Yeah.
So I'll just give you a little bit of background on the Owlman. Sometimes referred to as the Cornish Owlman or Owlman of Maunan. I did so good.
You did. You were doing so well.
And so bad with this one. Anyways, the Maunan is an owl-like creature said to have been seen in 1976 in the village of Maunan, Cornwall, UK. The Owlman is sometimes compared to Mothman. However, a Eurasian eagle owl is the likely source of the legend. The story originated when Tony Doc Shields claimed to have investigated a report of two young girls on holiday in Maunan who saw a large winged creature hovering above the tower of St. Maunan and Stephen's Church, Maunan, on 17th of April, 1976. According to most versions of the story, the girls identified as June and Vicky Mailing were so frightened by the sight of a large feathered birdman that their father, Don, immediately cut short their family holiday after hearing their tale. According to Shields, one of the girls provided him with a drawing of the creature, which he dubbed Owlman. The story was subsequently related to a pamphlet entitled Morgower, the Monster of Foulmouth Bay by Anthony Mount and Pellier, which circulated throughout Cornwall in 1976. According to Shields, Owlman was reported again on the 3rd of July by two 14-year-old girls identified as Sally Chapman and Barbara Perry. It's weird that both times the Owlman was reported, it was by two girls.
Like
14
together.
years old. Yeah, like two like young teenage girls.
Yeah.
Anyways, these two were aware of the Owlman tale. According to the story, the two girls were camping when they were confronted by a big owl with pointed ears as big as a man, with glowing eyes and black pincer-like claws, which basically is just the eagle owl that Tony Shields says it was.
Man, this is funny. Like I'm going through and I'm just looking at the images of Owlman, and it's all just drawings. Like again, I love our cryptids, like these crappy drawings of like these fake Owlman, the Owlman of Cornwall, and it's like this dumb drawing.
Yeah.
So stupid.
So when I was editing the last episode, post recording it, I put in a picture of each cryptid as I went along. Yeah. And some of them, they had no pictures. So I had to put in like a little kid sketch drawing, and it's actually kind of funny.
It's actually funnier. I just saw the picture of two owl men and they have their dongs out. So they're like blurry pictures of two owl guys.
Blurred dongs.
They just have blurred dongs. They have
I'm gonna have to Google that later.
I'll just send you
for personal use.
for personal adoration. I'm printing one out and I'm gonna put it in your house when you're not home.
Nice.
See if Andrea will let me in.
Put it on that tree they ripped down.
Yeah, totally. Hey, can I put up this picture of two owl men with their dogs out? Don't ask, it's for a thing.
Dude, that's a good way to make sure you're seen on your motorbike, is just airbrush two owls with human dicks on them.
Just right on the fairing. Oh my god.
Yeah, because people will like look and they'll be like, not a car, and they'll be like,
what
dicks.
Is that? Is that an owl with a huge cock? It is. That is an owl with a huge cock.
I think we solved that problem.
Huh.
Okay.
That man is highly visible.
Number 17 on the cryptid list is an owl with a huge dick. We just sliding one in.
Oh, I got heavy on the sliding one in.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey.
Actually,
number 17 is Monkey Man of New Delhi.
All right,
AKA
give me this one. I don't know anything about
Mokele-mbembe, is also known anomaly, which is an unknown. I did the thing where your brain thinks it reads something. I said also known instead of unknown.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start over. We're going to pretend I could read this whole time.
Dale has no idea how to read.
No, I do not. Which is weird since I try to do it so often.
You do.
Monkey Man.
Twice a week.
AKA Mokele-mbembe, is an unknown anomaly which was reported to be roaming Delhi in mid-2001. The entire incident has been described as an example of mass hysteria in India. This is why it's so high on the list, because it's new and it's just a bunch of people like freaked out.
Yeah. Drinking that Ganges river water again.
Yeah, there you go. Trying to stop the rebirth cycle of their Buddhist reincarnation. Is that what it is? The Ganges River, is that the one where you dip in and then you stop being reincarnated and you go to Nirvana?
Yeah.
See, it would have been a lot smoother if I could remember that reference.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, so they saw a monkey man. So again, I'm going to guess large monkey.
Yeah. In May 2001, reports began to circulate in the Indian capital, New Delhi, around a strange monkey-like creature that was appearing at night and attacking people. Eyewitness accounts were often inconsistent, but tended to describe the creature as about 4 feet tall, covered in thick black hair with a metal helmet, metal claws, glowing red eyes, and 3 buttons on its chest. Oh, this is the whole reason I put this, and put this high on the list.
Outfit that it's wearing.
Yeah, exactly. I saw a picture that somebody had drawn like a cute little picture of a monkey wearing like one of those fucking like 1980s biker helmets that bike gangs wore.
Totally.
And yeah, otherwise this would have just been like another Bigfoot or whatever. Some reports also claim the monkey man wore roller skates. Others, however, describe the monkey man as having a more vulpine snout and being up to 8 feet tall and muscular. So he's basically going from a chimpanzee to a gorilla size.
Yeah, I like how it went from 4 feet to 8 feet there. That just grew. Yeah.
And has like a vulpine snout. That's like a dog snout, isn't it?
Verpine is snake. Vulpine is wolf. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's what I figured.
Dog.
So it went from a chimpanzee to a werewolf.
Foxes.
Isn't that the same? Wouldn't that be similar to? I guess that's like
it's
pointier.
More
yeah.
Halfway between a cat and a dog. Yeah.
How did they not call this thing the armored fox monkey man? That's way better.
Fox, yeah, that's even cooler. That would have gone up the list.
Mm-hmm. Some reports also claim that the monkey man wore roller skates. Oh, I already read that.
Yeah.
It would leap from building to building. Over 350 sites of the Kala Bandar were reported, as well as around 60 resulting injuries.
Wow.
2, by some reports 3, people even died when they leapt from the tops of buildings or fell down stairwells in a panic caused by what they thought was the attacker. At one point, exasperated police even issued artist impressions drawings in an attempt to catch the creature. I think those are the ones I saw with the roller skates and the helmet. So
God, it looks like a Monchi-Shi. Do you remember Monchi-Shis from when we were kids?
No. What's that?
Okay, never mind. Just Google it when you get a chance. Carry on, sorry.
If you're listening to the story for bringing up, is that another cryptid, a Monchi-Shi?
No. It was a toy. It was like a toy monkey doll from when we were kids.
Oh, I think I know the one you're talking about. And it's like thumb stuck in its mouth.
Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this one I think is just there's poor lighting on rooftops in India and people saw something move in the dark and thought it was a monkey man and got freaked out and accidentally fell off buildings.
Oh man.
Yikes.
That's wild. And just the whole helmet thing too. Like the things like it's got armor. It's wearing armor and a little shirt. We're in trouble.
Although if I saw an 8-foot like fox monkey man with wearing armor, I'd freak out too. But not like a 4-foot
one. Yeah, 4-foot one wouldn't freak me out. I'm like,
you're like, cutie pie. Did you escape from the circus?
Who's a little dude?
Yeah.
You want to come hang out? Who wants to on my shoulder?
I'll give you a banana.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, number 16 on the list is
this one's gross. I don't want to do this
worm.
No, that's disgusting.
Although just those words are enough to make me be like, oh
yeah, man. No, I'm out.
Yeah.
That's like I got a filling one time and it sucked. I would want a tooth worm.
Yeah. So this is one of those ones that's iffy on if it should be on the cryptid list, but since it's such a disturbing thought, I put it on the list.
Okay, so you're gonna have to read this one and I'm gonna have to not listen because it's gross.
Toothworm is a theory of the cause of dental cavities, periodontitis, and toothaches. Once widespread, the belief is now obsolete, having been superseded by more scientific rationales. It was supposed that the disease was caused by small worms resident in the tooth eating it away. The origins of the beliefs are wrapped in obscurity. A prominent early mention of Babylonian cuneiform tablet titled The Legend of the Worm, sometimes erroneously dated to Sumerian times, recounts how the tooth worm drinks the blood and eats the roots of the teeth, causing cavities and periodontitis. Although no rigorous evidence was ever found, some practitioners believe the pulpal tissue within the root of the tooth to be the worm.
Fucking gross.
Most, however, admitted to have never encountered a worm in vivo, but nonetheless encourage the belief among general public.
Not even real, and I'm disgusted. Oh my god!
So gross. Just
I'm like, my mouth is watering right now. It's like trying to flush out anything. Oh
yeah. It's like, I mean, it's pretty good for getting kids to make you brush your teeth. Be like, oh, you have.
Do you want to get tooth worms? This is how you get tooth worms.
Like you get Richard Scarry's Busy Town, and you show him of the worm with the like lederhosen hat coming out of the apple, and you'd be like, that's in your tooth. brush your teeth. I want to go brush my teeth right now and
I
just
do
like
too. I totally do.
fucking gurgle with bleach to get rid of these tooth
I was
worms.
seriously like, I'm like, my bathroom's just over there. I'm gonna walk over and I'm gonna get my toothbrush because that is gross. Oh,
And if I fucking gurgled with bleach and spat out a tooth worm, I would run up to the roof and say that the monkey man was up there and just jump off.
oh God. I'm like drooling. I'm just, my
I
mouth
couldn't-
is trying to
oh.
flush out the horribleness.
And it's
Oh.
funny because after
It's
that,
not funny at all.
number 15 is so much more palatable, but it is one of the best
Literally.
cryptids.
Yeah.
The Jersey Devil,
Oh man. Okay, cool. So this one is funny.
also known as
because-
the Leeds Devil.
Yes. So the Leeds Devil is, I initially thought that was like from Leeds, England, but it's actually
Yeah.
the woman's name who saw it. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, you go ahead and tell a story.
Okay. The Jersey.
It's
Sorry.
a fucked up looking. It's just a fucked up looking creature.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. Like
I hadn't really known about the Jersey Devil. I thought it was just like some lame. I actually thought it was another Bigfoot clone just in New Jersey. But
yeah, it's like a bat camel.
yeah, the tail of it's pretty creepy. So also
The
known
fork
as the
tail,
Leeds Devil is a legendary creature said to inhabit the forest of pine barrens in South Jersey. The creature is often described as a flying biped with hooves, but there are many variations. The common description is that of a bipedal kangaroo-like or wyvern-like. Basically, a wyvern is a dragon without wings, for anybody who doesn't know that. Creature with a horse or goat-like head. Oh, wait. No, that's wrong. A wyvern is a dragon with
Wyvern-
two legs.
No, that's
'Cause-
incorrect.
Because
Two
wyverns
heads.
have wings.
Oh yeah, but no arms.
if-
That's right.
And if
There's a
and if a
wyvern-
wyvern has four legs, it's a dragon. If it has two,
The Welsh flag, the flag of Wales, has a wyvern.
Yeah.
on it.
does it?
No, it's a red. No, it's a dragon. Never mind.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's the difference.
Yeah, it
So,
doesn't have any
like-
arms. Like it doesn't have four legs. It has.
Yeah.
It just
'Cause
has. It has two heads.
Oh, does
No,
it?
one head. No, it's only one head. You're right. It has
Yeah.
two legs. You're right. I'm sorry. My apologies.
Okay.
It doesn't have four legs like a dragon. You're right. It has
Yes.
two legs at the back, and then its front arms are its wings, and it's got its head.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
So it was a wyvern-like creature with a horse or goat-like head, leathery bat-like wings, horns, small arms with clawed hands, legs with cloven hooves, and a forked tail. It has been reported to move quickly and is often described as emitting a high-pitched, blood-curdling scream, which, if I'm in the fucking woods and I
that's
hear
the
a
last thing you wanna
high-pitched,
hear.
blood-curdling scream, even if it's like a kid playing in a pool, I'm out. I'm just
Yeah.
going back home. I'm leaving the woods. According to popular folklore, the Jersey Devil originated with a Pine Barrens resident named Jane Leeds, known as Mother Leeds. The legend states that Mother Leeds had 12 children, and after finding she was pregnant for the 13th time, cursed the child in frustration, crying that the child would be the devil. In 1735, Mother Leeds was in labor on a stormy night while her friends gathered around her. Born as a normal child, the 13th child changed to a creature with hooves, a goat's head, bat wings, and a forked tail. Growling and screaming, the child beat everyone with its tail before flying up the chimney and heading into the pines. In some versions of the tale, Mother Leeds was supposedly a witch, and the child's father was the devil himself. Some versions of the legend also state that there was a subsequent attempt by local clergymen to exorcise the creature from the Pine Barrens. Now, this is why I love this one, because it's like a perfect like 1980s horror movie where it's like,
It's a Stephen King
just-
novel.
yeah, she's just gonna have a baby and she's like, oh, this baby's gonna be the devil, like curse it. And then it just like turns into the devil
That's awesome.
inside her. Well,
Yeah.
it was born normal, then turns into the devil.
So let's not forget, there's literally a hockey team named after this creature,
Yeah,
the New Jersey Devils.
there you go.
And in the like early 60s, or sorry, late 60s, early 70s, there was the Jersey Devils. That was the AHL hockey or the East Coast ECHL hockey club. And
Oh,
then
yeah?
it became the big club later on. So
Oh, really?
the one
I
that
didn't
you
know they
now,
started
the
out at
NHL.
that like that.
They did. It looks like a little dude. The logo is like a little guy with a hockey stick and skates with a forked tail and my exact goatee and mustache and some horns.
Like Hot Stuff comic book character.
Hot Stuff comic book character. Yeah, totally.
Okay, what
Hot
was
Stuff.
it?
Jersey Devils.
ECJHL?
No,
just
this is
Jersey?
in the Cherry Hill, New Jersey Eastern Hockey League, the EHL.
Okay. I just got to look at a picture of this. Sorry to derail everything.
And they were the Philadelphia. Yeah, totally.
Cherry
they were the Philadelphia
Hill,
Ramblers, and then they're Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Jersey Devils.
72.
Obviously, I'm gonna try. Oh, that is a wicked picture. He looks like he's wearing a unitard.
He totally is. Yeah.
Oh.
So full disclosure, Dale and I on Twitter a while back, he posted a thread up of like the coolest hockey logos from whatever year or whatever. Like, so mine was the Milwaukee Admirals, but I think this one takes the cake now because this
one is
so
pretty
awesome.
great.
Yeah, totally.
He looks like the like red devil with like the
with totally, and like the forked tail hanging out at the back. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else to add to this?
Nope, that was it. It was just that that's a pretty interesting one. You're totally right. It sounds exactly like an 80s horror movie. It's pretty funny. That just comes from right around that time where America is forming itself, right? Like the early 1900s, it's really coming into its own, and it's like, cool. Let's have a tale of. I like how it beats the children with its tail.
It's just like, I'm out of here, but first, just a fucking round of whips with its tail.
So many tales of like keeping children in line from that time.
Tails. Yeah, accidental puns. Yeah, like it's weird. It feels like all cryptids are from either the 70s or the 1700s.
Yeah, totally. Right, they're either super early or current.
Yeah,
like there was a period in time where people were like, cryptids, whatever. They've had their moment in the sun. Oh man, I'm excited for the next one.
Number 14, vampire or vampires.
Vampire.
And this is yet another one of those ones that, should this be on there, are these just fantastical creatures? But I've added them because there's always a whole bunch of different, like, oh, this person was a vampire, and vampires are. Dracula was supposedly based off Vlad the Impaler, who would, it's so gross. He would, like, when he conquered people, he would impale them on sticks, and then he'd like eat his lunch in amongst them, like a picnic amongst people being tortured to death. It's
nobody's badass like that anymore. People pretend to be badass, but they're not Vlad the Impaler badass.
No, I think it's because people that are that crazy and psychopathic can't maneuver their way around society enough to become rich enough to get power, because back then it was just like they were born in power.
Physical. Or you physically take it from somebody who
exactly.
Yeah, so he was the physically take it guy, right? It's like, allow me to demonstrate my superior prowess as a combatant. Here's your entire army on pikes in front of my castle. Oh, that's pretty fucking gross. He's just eating his lunch. He's just over there eating his lunch amongst the corpses that are hanging out. That is gross. Yeah. I find vampires, like, it makes a good cryptid list, and the reason why, this is my big number one, and I wrote down in my notes this is why I agree that vampires, it dates back, and so it's been so long. So Bram Stoker's Dracula made vampires famous, but the tale of vampires goes so far back. And the one that there's like these 1600s Romania talking about the Strigoi, and the Strigoi were the first sort of ghoulish vampire people. They apparently returned from the dead and drank the blood of the living to sustain their life. So this is like, man, I know too much about vampires. That's ridiculous. But anyway, it goes back so far. I've never seen Twilight, but I know about vampires. I still have to see that. It's on my list.
It's no.
But it'll ruin vampires for me or something. So
that's true.
But yeah, so the Strigoi is like that was the big one for me. Was like, this is like early 1600s folklore stuff, and it's like this scared the shit out of the people, and they locked that was the garlic and everything. And then Bram Stoker took elements from various cultural vampiric myths and made them into Dracula. So like Dracula had the cross and the mirror and the holy water and the, like, basically everything from all the other vampire cultures, became Dracula, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so the Strigoi were apparently allergic to garlic, and that was where the garlic came from. But Bram Stoker liked that mythology and stuck that part
Mhm.
into the piece. I did a little. This may shock you. Back in university, I did a book report, like essay on Bram Stoker's Dracula. And one of my favorite quotes ever is when Dracula refers to the mirror as foul baubles of man's vanity. Love that line.
Nice.
Love that line.
That is good.
Basically, he's like, fuck mirrors. That's the
Yeah.
whole thing. So, right? But
Yeah.
in a fancy way in the turn of the century. But yeah. That's why
Yeah.
I think vampires fits the cryptid list, because this is a
Mhm.
tale that predates any of the current stuff we know about vampires.
Yeah, and I don't really have much notes on this, just that, like Jeff was saying, when they, like, the old tales of vampires, they were just like basically almost like zombies, where they're just like bloated, reanimated
ghouls.
corpses. Oh, ghouls. That would suck blood. And they didn't get like to be cool, trendy, like provincial vampires until recently.
Yeah, so like that whole provincial vampire thing was the Tom Cruise movie. What was that movie called?
Interview with a Vampire.
And Interview with a Vampire. And that was like, they took the Dracula thing and made it slightly more Victorian, and that's where that like hoity-toity vampire piece came from. It literally came from the movies in the 90s. So.
And that's funny because that's all Anne Rice novels and stuff.
Yeah, totally. So
yeah, because she added sexiness to it. Because before that, vampires weren't really horny for nubile young women. They were just, like Jeff said, ghouls who suck
whatever
blood.
You could get at.
Yeah.
Yeah, just make it sexy. We suck blood. And
sexy.
Yeah.
Or
sucking.
Okay, number 13 on the cryptid list.
Moving right along.
Is Mokele-mbembe, which
I don't know what this
is basically a brontosaurus in the Congo. And do you want to hear why this is so high on my list instead of just being a mislabeled?
I do, because I don't know what the hell dinosaur. This is.
Did you ever see the movie Baby in the 80s?
I can't say that I did.
It's a terrible movie, but I saw it when it's like one of the first VHSs I ever watched, and my parents rented it because it was like kid friendly. And it's basically a couple goes to the Congo to find like local Congo villages were like talking about this monster from the river that they'd seen. And then they get there and they find a baby brontosaurus, and the whole movie is them trying to stop like corrupt poachers from getting it. It's so bad, but it's like a cute little animatronic baby brontosaurus. And there's one part where it kicks the guy in the nuts by accident, and it was hilarious when I was like 6. But yeah, that's the only reason it's up here. So it's Mokele-mbembe is one who stops the flow of rivers, is a water-dwelling entity that supposedly lives in the Congo River Basin, sometimes described as a living creature, sometimes as a spirit. Those that heard or that allegedly saw the entity described it as a large quadrupedal herbivore with a smooth skin, a long neck, and a single tooth, sometimes said to be a horn. So, big creature,
like a land narwhal.
Yeah, that'd be cool. In early to mid 20th century, the entity would become a point of focus among adherents of the pseudoscience of cryptozoology and young Earth creationism, resulting in numerous expeditions led by cryptozoologists and funded by young Earth creationists and other groups with the objective to find evidence that invalidates or contradicts the scientific consensus regarding evolution. Oh man, I forgot about all this stuff. This just brings it up to a new tier. Yeah, like imagine set out to find a cryptid in order to like disprove evolution and be like, the earth isn't that old. All these dinosaur bones are actually very recent because we found Mokele-mbembe in the Congo.
carbon dating is a hoax.
Paleontologist Donald Prothero remarks that the quest for Mokele-mbembe is part of the effort by creationists to overthrow the theory of evolution and teaching of science by any means possible. Additionally, Prothero observes that the only people looking for Mokele-mbembe are creationist ministers, not wildlife biologists.
Oh my God, that's so perfect.
It's amazing. That
Wow.
yeah.
That
I'm
just
glad I put
increases
this.
the batshit craziness of it all.
Yeah. Well, also why this is at 13 out of 37. The movie I was referring to
totally.
is called Baby: not Baby: but Baby: Secret of the Lost Legend. A paleontologist and her husband discover a mother and a baby brontosaurus in Africa and try to protect them from a group of hunters intent on capturing the dinosaur. Nothing, it doesn't say anything about trying to disprove
Does
the
anything about
theory of
ministers
evolution.
or like
Yeah,
creationists?
that is wild.
Nice. That is super wild. So yeah, I got to find this dinosaur so I can prove that my wacky religion is correct.
Obviously,
awesome.
they never found it because we didn't hear about it.
Yeah, I mean, God, could you imagine if that's like an actual thing that happened, that they found this thing and it's like, well, science was wrong. Praise Jesus.
And I love how they're like, we found this dinosaur that's still alive, so evolution isn't real. And we'd all be like,
wrong, it's wrong now.
That doesn't necessarily disprove
works.
all of evolution.
That's not how that works.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good because I had no idea what that one was. So I'm glad you explained that. And it was worth the price of admission. And now I see why it's so high up on the list. Oh
yeah,
my God.
Charles
awesome.
Darwin secretly had all the alive dinosaurs murdered so he could sell more books.
Oh my God. This conspiracy harkens back to the days of yore. Oh man. Okay. Number 11.
Nope, 12.
12. I'm sorry, I got screwed up.
That's fine. That's why there's two of us. Number 12 is a heavy hitter. And also
I like this one.
Richard Gere.
Yeah. Ooh, say no more. Did it get hot in here?
Yeah. I'm not saying that number 12 looks like Richard Gere or was inside Richard Gere's butt, like a rumor from the 80s.
Say that. I can't believe that still persists to this day.
Now it's just funny that it'll, yeah. Richard Gere starred in the movie The Mothman Prophecies, and number 12 is The Mothman. Yeah. The Mothman
totally
is a human creature reportedly seen in Point Pleasant area from November 15th, 1966 to December 15th, 1967. So it was a year and a month. Ooh, 13 months. There you go. That number 13 again. On November 15th, 1966, two young couples from Point Pleasant, Roger and Linda Scarberry, and Steve and Mary Mallet were swapping in a car. Just kidding. They just told police that they saw a large gray creature whose eyes glowed red when the car's headlights picked it up. They described it as a large flying man with 10-foot wings, following their car while they were driving in an area outside of town known as the TNT area. Oh, the site of a former World War II munitions plant. I get it. I was like, why would you just call it the TNT? But it's because it used to be, yeah. So you have these two couples driving around in a car in the TNT area out of town in 1966 in the dark, and they're like, we saw a creature when we were driving out there. They're probably just like trying to like sidestep the fact that they're just driving around in the dark as two young couples. Or is that just me being perverted?
No, I think it's you being perverted a little bit. Mothman's an interesting one because like I've seen it so many times. I mean, there was like there was an episode of the X-Files that had the Mothman on it. There was the Mothman Prophecies with Richard Gere. There was a movie just called Mothman, which Jewel State was in that movie.
Oh, I never saw that.
Yeah, it's just called. It's pretty. It's not the best movie, but it was pretty wacky. So there was also I don't know if you saw this one. I wrote this in my notes really quick. The Mothman was apparently seen in Chicago in the 90s, right before a bridge collapsed.
Oh, weird.
So the one of the main
I don't have that in my write-up.
Yeah,
Sorry.
one of no, it's good. One of the main things was that it usually Mothman is typically precedes a tragedy of some sort. So sights of the Mothman usually happen right before something bad happens on a larger scale.
Yeah, and they're saying if you see the Mothman, something bad is going to happen. Like, or
Yeah.
it's almost like in the Richard Gere movie, it was almost like a curse where if you saw
totally.
it, it would be like in Final Destination where you saw your death and you can only avoid it for so long till it catches up to you. That was the same
Right.
type of deal with the Mothman prophecies. And also, to a lesser extent, I feel like the bad guy from Jeepers Creepers was modeled off of the Mothman.
Yeah, that makes actually now you say that, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So going back to my notes, during the next few days, this is back to November 15, 1966, other people reported similar sightings. 2 volunteer firemen who saw it said it was a large bird with red eyes. Mason County Sheriff George Johnson commented that he believed the sightings were due to an unusually large heron he termed a shit poke. What?
I've had that
Did I miss
before.
something? What's a shit?
I don't think so. I don't know. I'm looking it up right now.
Is that a type of heron? Is it like the blue heron and the shit poke heron?
Oh yeah, a shit poke. It's a striated heron. Because it
Oh, it's
pokes along.
shite poke.
It pokes along. Yeah, because it pokes along and poops while it flies.
Oh, really? It does.
That's all I got.
It does have to do with shit. So it wasn't just me being a child.
It wasn't you being a child. It literally flies super slow, like it lopes, like it flies like slow poke, and it shits while it flies.
That's the funny.
Explanation.
And that was a striated heron?
Striated heron, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so not the ones they're like, I've never actually seen, like we see herons all the time, like in Delta, like close by.
Yeah, they're
like
blue herons. The ones
they're blue herons though. Yeah. So this is a striated heron, so it's a bit of a different one. That's that's weird. That's weird. That must be like an Eastern American thing.
Contractor Newell Partridge told Johnson that when he aimed a flashlight at a creature in a nearby field, its eyes glowed like bicycle reflectors. Additionally, he blamed buzzing noises from his television set and the disappearance of his German Shepherd dog on the creature. Wildlife biologist Robert L. Smith at West Virginia University told reporters that descriptions and sightings all fit the sandhill crane, a large American crane almost as tall as a man with a 7-foot wingspan featuring circles of reddish coloring around the eyes. The bird may have wandered out of its migration route and therefore was unrecognized at first because it was not native to this region. Yeah. So this would also match up with the like 13 months, like November 1966 to December 1967, because that.
Sorry, my house phone is ringing. Hold on.
You have a house phone? Yeah, go ahead. Answer it. It's probably the police. Who else would?
Somebody grab it.
Sorry. A house phone? Who even has your house phone number? The worst part is
my wife's aunt, and that's it.
Oh, the worst part is no one else. Probably telemarketers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Please go.
That's fine. How nobody could actually guess that their house phone would ring because I don't even have a house
It literally phone. Never rings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why we have it. It's because it's like $6 a month or something. So it's not worth it to get rid of it.
Like, is Batman calling? That's the only person I can think of who would use it.
Hi, it's Gary calling from Big Brothers.
Did you notice that there is a high demand for used cars? And we were wondering if you wanted to sell us whatever car you have. I get those calls all the time. Okay, so as I was saying, the November 1966 to December 1967 could kind of match up with sandhill cranes birthing a child. I'm not really a zoologist, but I figure that they would come around that time and nest and then lay an egg and then stick around till it was a year old. So maybe they got off their migratory route by accident or whatever, came, laid an egg, and then left, and that's why nobody saw it after 1967. And if you haven't seen a sandhill crane
maybe.
before,
Yeah,
they are pretty
if
creepy.
you've never seen that,
Yeah. Because we
and if you've
had,
never seen one before, and it's like it would freak you out, right?
yeah, we just had two at Burnaby Lake who laid an egg and had a baby. And it's like they're like this light yellow color with like red rings around their eyes, and they look like they're pretty gross. They're gross birds. Did you freeze?
Huh. Yeah, a little bit. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Am I
Are you
back?
good? Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, I'm good. Okay.
Okay. Anything else on the Mothman?
Nope.
The Mothman. Okay, so sorry. You were saying something about in 1990 it was seen at a bridge collapse.
Oh yeah, in Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago. So Chicago's not normally where the Mothman is seen. I'm just looking it up. I can't remember. I wrote it in my notes. So, oh yeah, the case of the Chicago Mothman. So there's actually like an NPR episode where they talk about it in 2019. And the Chicago Mothman, Chicago region is experiencing a collective case of the heebie-jeebies in recent years, ever since reports of a giant flying winged humanoid began surfacing. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, I also highly recommend everybody go listen to other cryptid podcasts, not because I don't think you should listen to this, but you'll listen to them and you'll be like, oh, this podcast is actually pretty great. Because they're either so boring or very unfunny.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Totally.
These are the
Okay,
only two. We're at number 10.
Like,
oh, no, wait, no, wait.
And we have 10 left, so we're doing okay. Yeah.
No, wait. We're at
Sorry.
11.
Number 11. Yeah.
The Minhocão.
I don't know what this one is.
I got to make a confession. I forget what it's about and why it's so high on the list, but I bet when I read the notes, it'll remind me. How does that sound?
Go.
Okay.
Minhocão.
It's an A with that umlaut above it, or not an umlaut, the wavy thing, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Minhocão is a creature from Brazilian folklore that is variously claimed to be a large fish or to resemble a worm measuring 20 to 50 meters long. That's 65 to 165 feet for our American listeners, or even to 80 meters, which is 260 feet. Descriptions related to him claim the creature to have a visible mouth and that it does not rise to the surface of the water. Oh, this is why I put this up on here, because it's fucking terrifying.
Oh, God.
But that it causes animals to disappear by seizing them from the belly. So that's why I put this on here, because you won't see anything. You'll just see an animal get sucked under from its guts, because it's this fucking 260-foot worm / probably a snake, but worm
what is
scarier.
with you and the fucking worms?
Yeah, I have a thing. What's the phobia of worms called? There's probably a technical word for it, but I think we all have
I'll try and figure it out.
From like being
really
cavemen and having
worms.
snakes in our lizard brain. Okay. Other accounts claim the Minhocão.
I'm Dale DeRuiter, and today we're talking about gross worms. Scolosiophobia, an extreme fear of worms.
Yuck. That's what this list is going to give all our listeners, because it's either in your teeth or it's fucking pulls you down by the belly. Other accounts claim the Minhocão to be a true fish provided with fins. It was claimed to exist in the highlands in the south of the country and was described as a gigantic earthworm, 50 yards. I love how they just put in all these different measurements. Like we've had meters, feet, and now yards. 46 meters. A yard is 3 feet, so that's 150 feet. Yeah. In length.
17 cubits.
And 5 inches in breadth. Oh, Jesus. So it's 50 yards long at this round. So it's just this massive tube. It's almost like it's a piece of PVC pipe that somebody got drunk and got sucked into.
Oh my God. It's totally a piece of pipe. It's like an underwater vacuum.
Yeah, it just gets worse. So it's
Great.
50 yards long, 5 inches in breadth, and covered with bones as if it were a coat or mail. While other accounts
fucking course it's covered in bones.
Other accounts described it as 30 or 40 feet long and a couple of yards broad. It was said to uproot trees and leave deep trenches in its path and to prefer damp conditions. Another claim sighting stated that the creature had a snout like a pig. An earlier claim stated that it had horns. A claim sighting of a dead Minhocão from 1849 stated that it had skin which was as thick as the bark of a pine tree and formed of hard scales like those of an armadillo. So you have this fucking giant earthworm that has sometimes the snout of a pig, sometimes it has horns. It's either covered in bones or armadillo skin, and it just sucks creatures by the belly, and it like goes through wet dirt. So it's like lives in swamps. This is a nightmare.
This is totally a nightmare.
So as if alligators, snakes, and disease weren't enough to keep you out of swamps and bogs, just think of the Minhocão and stay out of there, especially in Brazil.
It was already low on my travel priority list to go to Brazil, and it just got less. It just got kicked further down the list.
It's the true cause of the death of Hitler. Was a Minhocão sucked him by the belly into the bog. He manages to escape World War II, go to Brazil, and then just gets sucked into the earth by a giant earthworm.
Just desserts, as they say.
Yeah. And number 10 is another heavy hitter.
This is one of my favorites by far.
Mm-hmm. The chupacabra.
Yes.
Gonna reach right out and grab you.
One of my favorite bands ever. Chicks dig it.
Yeah.
Chupacabra. Gonna reach right out and grab you. Oh, fucking love it.
Yeah, chupacabra. It is such a good song.
Yeah, totally.
And
so chupacabra is a great one.
That's why it's number 10. Because it is a well-known cryptid, but it's not that great. It's just like this little thing that's chupacabra literally translates from Spanish into goat sucker.
So I handle with Mr. Goats. If you want to be a chupacabra,
oh my God. Is that your pet name for your wife?
My pet name for my wife. Come to me, my little chupacabra. Oh my God, she's gonna watch this and she's gonna,
No, she's not allowed to she's not allowed to listen to this because she'll hate me.
Yeah. Did Dale say that I'm your little chupacabra? I'm like, oh God, I'm fucking dead. Cool.
You'll be like, it was all Dale's idea. I'm pure and innocent. Everything bad was from Dale.
From Dale.
It comes from sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you want me to start reading?
Yeah, read up.
Do we want to talk about
all my chupacabra info is right here? No, I don't like the dicks anymore.
Okay. From Spanish, chupar, to suck, and cabras, goats, is a legendary creature in the folklore of parts of the Americas, with its first reported sightings reported in Puerto Rico in 1995. What? No.
Yeah.
I thought it was older than that.
Nope. Super new. Yeah.
The name comes from the animal's reported vampirism. The chupacabra is said to attack and drink the blood of livestock, including goats. Physical descriptions of the creature vary. Some describe it as a reptilian or alien-like in Puerto Rico and Latin America. Generally as a heavy creature, the size of a small bear with a row of spines reaching from the neck to the base of the tail. Others depict it as more dog-like, particularly in southern United States. Sightings have been reported in Puerto Rico since the 70s. Okay, wait.
Yeah. Because it wasn't in the Americas, like English speaking.
Oh, it wasn't
until the 90s. Until there was an episode of the X-Files where they featured in 1995, where they featured the chupacabra, and that was the first time that we got it up here popularly in North America.
Okay,
not Latin America. Upper
I guess, yeah. The creature has since been reported as far north as Maine, as far south as Chile, And even outside the Americas and countries like Russia and the Philippines, all of these reports are anecdotal and have been disregarded as uncorroborated or lacking evidence. Sightings in northern Mexico and the southern United States have been verified as canids afflicted with mange.
Mange, yeah.
According to biologists and wildlife management officials, the chupacabra is an urban legend. The most common description of the chupacabra is that of a reptile-like creature said to have leathery or scaly greenish gray skin and sharp spines or quills running down its back. I guess that's how I could see why that's mange, because mange makes a dog's hair fall out and then it would fall out the last on its spine. Yeah, and then like be clumps of hair could be misinterpreted as spines, and then a dog's skin, if a dog's black, its skin does look kind of gray.
And what happens also with mange, the dog's teeth fall out. So one of those key things that people say about the chupacabra is that it's got 3 teeth. So that's in like a configuration of 3 teeth in the front of its mouth. And the bites left on the livestock typically have 3 puncture marks. So what happens to dogs when they get mange is their teeth also fall out. So that's the other thing about that.
Oh, and that's why they would suck blood, because they can't chew food.
They would chew
sustenance. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is said to be approximately 3 to 4 feet tall and stands and hops in a fashion similar to that of a kangaroo. Another common description of the chupacabra is a strange breed of wild dog. This form is mostly hairless and has a pronounced spinal ridge, unusually pronounced eye sockets, fangs, and claws. Unlike conventional predators, the chupacabra is said to drain all of the animal's blood and sometimes organs, usually through 3 holes in the shape of a downward pointing triangle, but sometimes through only 1 or 2 holes. So yeah, that's like what you were saying with the 3 holes.
Lost teeth.
Yep.
I know a thing or two about 3 holes.
Hey, the 3 holes, or as I like to call it, my favorite love triangle.
There's definitely an order involved there, an order of operations. Okay. All right. Next up, one of my the Ogopogo.
Pogo. Number 9, the Ogopogo. Me and Jeff
I lived in Penticton for a couple of years.
I lived in Enderby, and it was the top of the Okanagan. So this is very common for both mine and Goats' growing up. Sorry.
So this is one of those ones where, no, that's fine. That's quite okay. The sightings, there was even a more recent one I just saw. It was on CFJC television.
Really?
There was a someone who saw a recent one like in the early 2000s, and there's like a video of it rippling. So if you can find that video and have a look at it. But now here's the thing. All the Ogopogo myths and legends and everything are in Okanagan Lake. This video was taken in Skaha Lake. Skaha Lake and Okanagan Lake are at opposite ends of Penticton.
Yeah.
And they're connected by a river channel. And the river channel is human-made. It's not very deep. And the suspicion is that the Ogopogo is a sturgeon, or like a large fish. Right? That is just like a kind of big, large Asian fish. And all the video of, there's a picture of the Ogopogo, which has been proven to be false, but it's in the museums in Penticton. You can see it there. But yeah, they've proven that it's just some tires or something floating in the water. It was proven to be a hoax, but you got to see the video. If you get a chance to see the video, it's very, very interesting.
Nice. I'll check it out.
Yeah, totally.
So the Ogopogo is a lake monster said to inhabit Okanagan Lake in British Columbia, Canada. Some scholars have charted the entity's development from First Nations folklore and widespread water monster folklore motives. The Ogopogo now plays a role in the commercial symbolism and media representation of the region. Like there's the Kelowna Rockets. Is that WHL?
Correct. Yeah.
Their logo is an Ogopogo.
It is. Yeah.
And then Lake Erie Monsters. That's another Ogopogo, but I don't think it's the actual Ogopogo.
Yeah. Are there a bunch of alsos in this one as well?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch. There's a bunch. According to Redford, the Ogopogo is more closely tied to native myths than it is any other lake monster. The Secwepemc, sorry?
No, go ahead.
I said that deadly correct. Okay, the Secwepemc and Syilx natives. I'm not going to try to say it again. I don't.
Okay.
This is one of those words that if I say it too wrong, I feel like it'll be offensive. So
yeah, totally.
It's Secwepemc and Syilx, Syilx. Natives regarded the Ogopogo, which they called the Naitaka, as an evil supernatural entity with great power and ill content. The word Nahatik has various translations such as water demon, water god, or sacred creature of the water. In native lore, Naitaka demanded a live sacrifice for safe crossing of the lake. For hundreds of years, First Nations would sacrifice small animals before entering the water. Oral traditions often describe visiting Chief Tim Basket, who rejected the required sacrifice, denying the existence of the demon. Upon entering the lake on a canoe with his family, Naitaka whipped up the surface of the lake with its long tail, and the canoe and its occupants were sucked to the bottom of the lake. The Naitaka was often described as using its tail to create fierce storms to drown victims. In 1855, settler John McDougall claimed that his horses were sucked down into the river and nearly his canoe before he cut the line. According to Pat Raphael of the West Bank First Nations, a member nation of the larger Okanagan Nation Alliance, the demonic view of the Naitaka came about through miscommunication between Canada's early European settlers and the Syilx Okanagan people. To the Syilx, it is Zax Inhaha Itko, a sacred spirit of the lake that protects the valley. The spirit was said to dwell in caves under Rattlesnake Island, aka Monster Island, or adjacent to Squally Point. That's it for that. But
yeah, interesting. I didn't realize. I actually didn't know that it was like water demon. I didn't know if there was that connotation to it, but that makes sense that fucking white people would ruin that for everything.
It was cool that like for a while they're like, we have to sacrifice something or this thing's gonna kill us.
Yeah, I mean, European settlers come this way.
Sacrifice
your ass to the. Yeah.
And it's funny, like you said, you never realized that, and I hadn't either, because when we grew up, it was like basically like a cartoon animal.
Yeah,
like,
it was
good guy Ogopogo. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, totally. And like, yeah, everybody heard about that, and it was one of those things. It's oh my god, what's the English term for it? It's the same forwards as it is backwards.
Palindrome.
Onomatopoeia is something that sound.
Oh, okay.
Onomatopoeia sounds like it, like whack or bang. Yeah, it's a palindrome. It's the same forwards as it is backwards, and it always showed up on tests when I was a kid, right? Like kayak, Ogopogo, race car, like they're always the same. Mom, noon, like those things. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Regional English tests. Ogopogo always showed up on.
Yeah. So in the also section, we had Cadborosaurus, which is another dinosaur, is a sea serpent in the folklore of regions of the Pacific coast of North America. So this was basically like the same idea as a water spirit guide, but it was like on the Coast Salish natives and stuff out here in Vancouver. There's also the Ogopogo, which is said to dwell in Lake Simcoe in Ontario. There's Manipogo. Manipogo. Sorry.
Is that in Manitoba?
Yeah, Lake Manitoba.
Steal our thunder. Get your own thing.
And there's Selma, and that is said to live in the 13-kilometer long 8-mile lake in Seljord Vatnet in Seljord, Vestige, Old Telemark, Norway. Wow. I like how we have Ogopogo, Ogopogo, and Manipogo, and then in Norway they just call it Selma.
They just named it. They're like, Selma Pogo or like Norway Pogo.
Yeah, and it lives in Seljord, so they should have called it Seljopogo.
Seljopogo. Nice.
If they wanted to keep to the current thing. Anything else on Ogopogo before we move on?
Let's go. We got to smash on here.
I feel like yeah, sorry. I just feel like there should be more since we grew up with this our entire childhood.
Yeah,
But
I sent you the
I'm willing
video,
to live it.
and seriously, if you get a chance, if you can like steal a little bit of video clip and pop it in there, that would be, I think that would be funny. But if you get a chance, look up the 2000. Oh, I forget now what it is. Anyway, I sent you the video. You should watch it. It's
Yeah.
pretty dope.
I could
Check
edit
it
that
out.
in.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'll edit it in right now.
What is it?
Jim LaRock says he couldn't believe his eyes.
Can't be a wave.
Mysterious ripples breaking through Skaha Lake's glassy surface near Kaleden on June 1st.
And we're back. Number 8.
Number 8 is
I can't believe
very
you put this
high
one
on the
in here.
list.
There better be a
And-
good fucking reason why this one's so high on the list.
The only reason is because it's fucking hilarious and awesome.
Oh,
Number
God.
8 is the Batsquatch. It is a flying cryptid that was allegedly seen near Mount St. Helens in the 1980s. It resembles a flying primate. Oh, okay.
Shocking.
Looks like
Yeah.
a flying monkey, which is not a thing. So how do you resemble something?
Bat go pogo.
Yeah. This creature was said to have yellow eyes, a dog-like muzzle, blue fur, sharp teeth, bird-like feet, and leathery bat-like wings that span
Oh
up
my
to
God.
50 feet. In addition, Batsquatch is said to be 9 feet tall and has the ability to affect car engines. That's all there is said about
Whoa.
Batsquatch, and that's all I needed to hear. Because
So, okay,
once you
what-
tell me Batwing Sasquatch, I'm in.
Okay, so what, Dale, you'll know this.
Mhm.
In this region, British Columbia,
Yeah.
in the 1980s, what significant event in Washington State, just south of us, happened in the mid 1980s that you can
Mount St.
remember?
Helens eruption.
Mount St. Helens erupted. What explodes out of a volcano when it erupts?
Batsquatches?
Batsquatches. It exploded the secret Batsquatch lair and flew the
Yeah.
Batsquatches out into the thing. No, noxious fumes and ash covering the fucking
Oh.
entire region.
Yeah.
So,
So
remember
you're
earlier-
saying that
remember
these
earlier
people
in the-
got
yeah.
hit with noxious fumes and
They were tripping
hallucinated
balls.
the Batsquatch.
Batsquatch. That's
And
what I'm
you're
saying.
saying that instead of what actually happened, which
Which
was
is the Batsquatch lair exploded and
Batsquatches
shot them out.
had to escape the eruption before it happened.
Correct.
Batsquatch.
Correct. Okay,
only reason.
moving right along. This next one is a killer, and it's right in line with this. This is why you put Batsquatch here.
Okay.
I know it.
I had to
This is
put
Dale's and
Batsquatch.
Dale's. Yeah.
I had to put Batsquatch number 8 because number 7 is Bigfoot / Sasquatch / Yeti. This is one of my high faves. If you
Just-
the only reason this isn't in the top 3 is because I did a whole podcast episode number 2 on what is Bigfoot on the Dale Show.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I just, on a personal note, I've had offline conversations with Dale about Sasquatches on numerous occasions. So I know this is really big for him.
yeah. So also known as a monster truck, the first monster truck.
Yeah, really, seriously.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So without, because like I said, I did a whole 1.5 hour episode on this, so I'm gonna try keep it a little tighter than that. But I will give you. Should I give you my notes or just give you a basic rundown? What would you prefer?
Give me the
Jeff?
basic rundown. I have one small note to add, and
Okay.
that's it about like some husbandry. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Sasquatch is basically like
If you don't know what Sasquatch is, you're listening to the wrong goddamn podcast.
That's true. Actually, I'm gonna read the notes and then I'll add
Yeah,
to the notes
do
a little bit of color. Also commonly referred to as Sasquatch is a purported ape-like creature said to inhabit the forests of North America. Many dubious articles have been offered in attempts to prove the existence of Bigfoot, including anecdotal claims of visual observations, as well as alleged video and audio recordings, photographs, and casts of large footprints. Some are known or admitted hoaxes. Tales of wild, hairy humanoids exist throughout the world, and such creatures appear in the folklore of North America, including the mythologies of indigenous people. So this one is the whole reason I started down the Bigfoot trail to do a whole episode on it was we went to Harrison Hot Springs and they had a mural talking about the indigenous roots of Bigfoot, because they described him as, well, not Bigfoot, the one guy, but just Sasquatches in general. They thought of them as forest guardians, and they could phase in and out of our dimension. And if they actually let you smell them, hear them, or see them, then it was considered a blessing from that dimensional entity.
Man, that's so rad. And they have those old photographs posted in like gigantic murals on the side of the wall of like from the, I think it was like the 50s or the 60s, of the First Nations folks in that region wearing Sasquatch costumes, and they're fucking unreal. They're so good.
Yeah, and they have like a big mask and stuff.
Yeah. The big mask and everything. It's so cool. It's so cool up there. Yeah, if you get a chance to go to Harrison Hot Springs and you just walk past the hotel and up this path, it's like a water pump, like this random piece of city infrastructure, and it has this huge mural about the Sasquatch and the connection to the history there. It's so cool.
It used to be the steam baths from like the early 1900s.
Steam baths are further down.
Oh,
they're further down. That's literally a water, like a water pump for the.
Oh yeah, it's on the trail to the steam baths.
It's on the trail to the steam baths. Yeah, totally. Yeah, so cool.
Yeah. The majority of mainstream scientists have historically discounted the existence of Bigfoot, considering it to be the result of a combination of folklore, misidentification, and hoax rather than a living animal. Folklorists trace the phenomenon of Bigfoot to a combination of factors and sources, including indigenous cultures, the European wild man figure, and folk tales. Wishful thinking, a cultural increase in environmental concerns, and overall society awareness of subject have been cited as additional factors. Bigfoot is most often described as a large, muscular, and bipedal ape-like creature covered in black, dark brown, or dark reddish hair. Anecdotal descriptions estimate a height of roughly 1.8 to 2.7 meters, 6 to 9 feet, with some descriptions having the creature standing as tall as 15 feet. Some alleged observations describe Bigfoot as more man-like, with reports of a human-like face. In 1971, multiple people in the Dallas, Oregon filed a police report describing an overgrown ape, and one of the men claimed to have sighted the creature in the scope of his rifle, but could not bring himself to shoot it because it looked more human than animal. Common descriptions also include broad shoulders, no visible neck, and long arms, which skeptics describe as a likely misidentification of a bear standing upright. Some alleged nighttime sightings have stated the creature's eyes glowed yellow or red. However, eye shine is not present in humans or any other known apes, and so proposed explanations for observable eye shine off of the ground in the forest include owls, raccoons, or opossums perched in the foliage. Yeah. And then another theory of what Bigfoot is a Gigantopithecus, which is like a dinosaur aged, or not dinosaur, but like a giant ape from the past that they found bones of in where was that? China, I think. Because that's what they thought the Yeti was, because they found
teeth. That was my notes on that.
Yeah. And they said that those teeth were like an orangutan, but it would have been like a 12-foot orangutan. Then they could tell what it was by the shape of the teeth, and they just looked like bigger orangutan teeth, and they could tell it was a herbivore from all the like mini fossils stuck in the teeth and stuff.
Totally. Yeah. That was just on that. Like the only note that I really had was that there was that whole thing about Bigfoot being an ancestor, or sorry, the Yeti is actually the ancestor of Bigfoot, and that the Bigfoots or Sasquatch were Yeti who crossed the land bridge from like basically a Gigantopithecus that crossed the land bridge from Asia to the Americas at some point in history. So that's the like other theory that I had on it. That's it. That's the only thing I had to add to Bigfoot.
Yeah, I always consider them like kind of like brown bears and black bears.
Right,
or polar bears and brown bears.
Polar bears and brown bears. Yeah, totally. They just
Okay,
evolved the same but different.
Yeah. So for all of the alsos, there's a bunch, because there's a bunch of
whole whack of
Sasquatches out there. So we have Barmano. who allegedly inhabits the mountainous region of northern Pakistan. We have the Bukit Timah monkey man, a Yeti, which we just talked about, which is from the Himalayan mountains in Asia. The Fouke monster, known as
Spooky monster.
Boggy Creek monster, and the swamp stalker, allegedly sighted in the rural town of Fouke, Arkansas, during the early 1970s. We also have the Honey Island swamp monster, also known as the Cajun Sasquatch, purported to inhabit the Honey Island swamp in St. Thomé Parish, Louisiana. We have orange mawas, or mawas, also known as an orange Dalam, is reported to inhabit the jungle of Johor in Malaysia. It is described as being about 10 foot tall, bipedal, and covered in black fur, and has been reported feeding on fish and raiding orchards. We have the skunk ape, also known as the swamp ape, and Florida Bigfoot, is purported ape-like creature said to inhabit the forests and swamps of some southeastern United States, notably in Florida. We have the Yeren, which translates to wild man, is an ape man reported to inhabit remote mountainous regions of China, most famously in the Shenogija Forest District in the Hubei province. My favorite of those is the Cajun Sasquatch.
Totally. I'm gonna get those yours, I'll guarantee.
Yeah, guarantee. Welcome
Fuck,
to the
man.
swamp.
It's a 90s Kia commercial for you,
Yeah.
for those of you following along at home. Man, so similar to a few of the other cryptids that we've talked about on these last two episodes, and like I was thinking of it almost similar to vampires, like the story of the ape person.
Yeah.
Is like, it's universal. Like it doesn't have a border. Like that's why you see all these alsos. There's so many of them, because like it's not that far off to think that somebody got raised out in the wilderness and they're feral. They're like humans just like us, but they didn't have the benefit of being raised in a society and lived outside of the forest and got big eating forest shit, and then they're like huge now and they're covered in hair because they haven't groomed, and it just grows long and gets matted, and they're fucking dirty and muddy and from just living outside. It's not that far off to think that that's a real thing. So I can see like the prevalence of Sasquatch and Yeti. And Yeti, of course, the snow version of that. I'm just living in the cold, growing my hair, and it's all turned white because I'm old. And yeah, it's not hard. It's not hard to see. It's not hard to make that leap, right? So it's super believable. Anyway, that's all I had for that.
Okay, moving along.
What the hell is this next one? What is this? You come up with the weirdest shit. I'm so excited to hear what this one is and why it's so high. Fuck. Go ahead. At this point, I'm just like, whatever.
This one is another. This one is just number 6 is the Steller sea ape. The only reason it's so goddamn high is because it's so dumb. Okay, and
let's hear it.
If anybody's wondering, I got this list of cryptids from the Wikipedia list of cryptids, and there was another thing I looked at, which was the Cryptid Wiki. I also got a list from that, but this one is the Steller sea ape. Is a purported
the pictures are unreal.
Is a purported marine mammal observed by German zoologist George Steller on August 10th, 1741, around the Shumagon Islands in Alaska. The animal was described as being around 5 feet long, with a dog-like head, long drooping whiskers, an elongated but robust body, thick fur coat, no limbs, and tail fins much like that of a shark. He described the creature as being playful and inquisitive like a monkey. After observing it for 2 hours, he attempted to shoot and collect the creature, but missed, and the creature swam away. There have been 4 attempts to scientifically classify the creature, described as Simia marina, Siren Cyocephalia, Trichenis hydropithecus, and Manatasimia. Steller most likely simply misidentified a northern fur seal.
Oh, for fuck's sake, it's a seal. Oh my God. In the chat, I just sent you a picture of the most ridiculous looking thing I've ever seen. Click that fucking link in the chat and look
I
at
gotta
that thing.
see this.
If you don't use that, I'm going to be so upset.
Yeah,
Oh my
I'm
God.
definitely putting that in here so everybody knows. So if you're
Oh
listening,
my
if you're
God.
just listening to this, please go to YouTube and search the Dale Show, and because this picture is worth going to see. Oh man, that is great.
It was a seal this whole
Yeah.
time. It was
That's
the
the
big seal. Oh God.
The best part was that when I was reading this, it said it was like, yeah, it had a dog-like face. And you're like, that sounds familiar. And you're like, wait,
Yeah.
did it
It has a
bark
dog-like face.
too?
Yeah. Let's call it an ape.
Yeah. And long drooping whiskers. And you're like, what else do I know that has long drooping whiskers? And it's like, and a long fat body with fur. And you're like, that sounds like a seal. And then I was reading it. And I like how they gave it like 4 different super sciencey names, like Trichechicus hydropithecus. Like the hydropithecus is a deadly name.
That's
and
a
it's
rad
just
name.
a fucking northern fur seal.
It's a seal.
And that's why it's number 6.
Okay.
Because
All right.
George Steller of 1741 had never seen a seal before and thought it was a cryptid.
Ridiculous. Okay, so now we're into the top 5. I don't want to
Yeah.
talk about fucking ape seal anymore.
Let's so mad.
The top 5, and of these top 5, this next one is questionable. And then there's the top 4, and then yeah. Go
There's
ahead,
only
Seth.
one
Take
more
it away.
stupid one.
This is
I promise. There's only one more stupid one. I was going to say that was the highest ranking stupid one, but there's another
There's one more
that's the
highest ranking stupid
Okay.
one. Okay, let's do this questionable one, and then we'll hit the top 4. Then we'll minus off that stupid one, and then we have the actual top 3.
Okay, so number 5 that is questionable is aliens. And I'm not talking about like all the different races of aliens like I talked about in Alien War or Alien Hybrids or Alien War. I'm talking about the Greys because they always show up in like X-Files, horror shows and everything. And the Greys are also, I'll just give you a short synopsis since I've talked about them so much. They're also referred to as Zeta Reticulans, Roswell Greys, or Greys. There are purported extraterrestrial beings. They are frequent subjects of close encounters and alien abduction claims. The details of such claims vary widely, but typically Greys are described as being human-like with small bodies, with smooth gray-colored skin, enlarged hairless heads, and large black eyes. Yeah. So, like, yeah, just watch any of the movies about alien abductions. Close Encounters of a Fourth Kind is creepy. And then you have Close Encounters, and then Fire in the Sky. And then, that Christopher Walken movie from the 80s, Communion. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Well, guys, aliens coming from the sky trying to probe my ass. I don't know. It's so much.
Yeah.
I have to run from them. Anyway.
Yeah, I didn't like include any like reptilian aliens or stuff. Yeah, these are like the abducting aliens that take you up, put chips in you, put you back, wipe your memory and all that stuff.
Have you not yet discovered everything you can from anal probing? Are we still doing this? This is just fun now.
They're like, nope.
Science,
just 6 more times.
I'm just sticking dicks in your ass because it's another hole. Yeah, we need more asses up here. I gotta post some more asses.
The whole
one alien.
The whole time it was just a miscommunication because they thought it was our mouths and they're trying to feed us.
Stop putting shit in there.
No, stop putting hamburgers in my ass.
Oh my God. I feel like you've said that before. Not just on this podcast. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think aliens fit in the cryptid world. I thought that was questionable, but whatever. I'm here for you, baby. I'm here for you.
Okay. Number 4 is the last dumb one. And this was almost my number 1. Because I loved it so much, but I couldn't do it because the other ones are much more powerful. And this one is a dumb one, so I had to take it out of the number one slot because I couldn't have a jokey one as my number one.
Okay.
So number 4 is the Loveland Frogman.
Oh, here we go.
It is a legendary humanoid frog described as standing roughly 4 feet tall, allegedly spotted in Loveland, Ohio in 1972. The Loveland frog legend gained renewed attention when a Loveland police officer reported to a colleague that he had seen an animal consistent with descriptions of the frogman after a purported sighting in 2016. The second officer called a news station to report that he had shot and killed the same creature some weeks after the 1972 incident and had identified it as a large iguana that was missing its tail.
Not a cryptid.
So it was basically somebody's iguana got out, his tail got ripped off, and it looked like it was crawling over a fence. And this police officer saw it through his at night through his car lights and was like, that's a dude, human crawling over the railing. It's a human frogman. There's nothing else it could be. And then another officer's like, well, I shot it and it was an iguana.
Wow.
And then the guy who shot the iguana took it to the other guy and he was like, is this your Loveland Frogman? And the guy's like, yeah, that's it.
That's it. That's it. The iguana is my frogman. That's I'm just gonna go.
The scary thing is, imagine how big an iguana would have to be.
I have to be pretty big to mistake it for a man.
3.5 feet long without its tail. That's like this long.
It's huge. It's huge. It's really big. It's a really big
without its tail.
Yeah.
Maybe it only grew that big because it didn't have a tail.
Yeah, it's like that whole theory of it's there's less for it to actually grow, like less less all the nutrients get distributed differently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's fucked up. That's an iguana, not a cryptid. What's next? Top 3, baby. Here we come.
Okay,
We're
top
bringing it
3.
home.
Actually, number 3 might be a mystical creature thingy because it's the Wendigo.
The Wendigo. I like
this. The
This
Wendigo
deserves to be in the top 3.
is often said to be a malevolent spirit, sometimes depicted malevolent.
Malevolent. Malevolent.
That's one of those words.
Doing so well.
That's one of those words that you read so much and you don't hear because nobody uses the word malevolent.
Clearly didn't play D&D or Warhammer in your teen years.
Oh no, I didn't.
Every second word, the malevolent forces of chaos.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've heard malevolent.
Out loud.
Malevolent.
Malevolent.
It's one of those words that you try to pronounce phonetically and it's just wrong. Like brooch reads as brooch.
Brooch.
Yeah.
Brooch, there it is.
The Wendigo is often said to be a malevolent spirit, sometimes depicted as a creature with human-like characteristics, which possesses human beings. The Wendigo is said to invoke feelings of insatiable greed / hunger, the desire to cannibalize other humans, as well as the propensity to commit murder in those that fall under its influence. Whenever a Wendigo ate another person, it would grow in proportion to the meal it had just eaten, so it could never be full. Therefore, Wendigos are portrayed as simultaneously gluttonous and extremely thin due to starvation. The Wendigo is seen as the embodiment of gluttony, greed, and excess. Never satisfied after killing and consuming one person, they are constantly searching for new victims. Many sightings here in BC, usually up north, the power of okay, sorry, that's just 2 sentences that got smashed together. Okay, so they're never fully satisfied in consuming. There have been many sightings here in BC, usually up north. The power of influence, cannibalism, actual psychological condition called Wendigo psychosis from Jesuit priest in the 1600s, seeing Algonquin Cree people have insatiable appetites for human flesh. However, as we've learned a lot more recently, that is likely just straight up racism. Also see the Yi Naldalu. Remember this?
Here we go.
This was my loophole for werewolves when we were on red pill, blue
Yes.
pill, and
Yes,
white
yes,
pills.
yes, yes, yes.
And this was my
Yeah.
loophole to get my favorite cryptid as a werewolf was the Yi Naldalushi, because that is when a witch takes on, like a indigenous witch takes on the characteristics of a werewolf and goes and eats people. So it's like, it's kind of like the same thing as a Wendigo, whereas a Wendigo is like a curse. They did an episode of this on X-Files.
Right.
So yeah. So it's basically you get cursed and you turn into the guy from Thinner, but instead of eating pies, you eat people.
You eat people. People, delectable people. Yeah, totally.
Soylent pies are people.
Soylent pies are people. Yeah. That so they no longer the powers that be no longer, like, Wendigo psychosis isn't a real thing anymore. It was disproved like a long time ago. But yeah, that was that whole thing that was literally specifically described to the Cree people when they were being crazy. And so the Jesuit priests made up that story that they were eating human flesh. That never actually happened. So
I think there's supposedly a Wendigo grave somewhere in BC.
oh yeah, I think I heard that too.
I think Andrea was
that,
telling
I think
me.
Andrea was telling us about that.
Yeah.
I was like, did I imagine that? Or yeah, it's either northern BC or eastern Alberta.
Yeah.
Western Alberta.
Whatever. She's not here for me to ask right now, so I guess we'll just never know. And I also don't know if that's something that that she would want known, because it was like one of the First Nations elders said that they had
okay, so it's not
a
like
Wendigo grave in their territory.
Nice, or like a tourist trap thing. All right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh, that was a tough one, because it's definitely like, I've heard lots of things about Wendigos over the years, and yeah, it's one of those ones that you're not really. It's creepy as hell. It's very similar. Like, if you want to like put it back to the earlier conversation about vampires, it's almost along that same line of like a First Nations vampire spirit.
Yeah, exactly.
Thing, right? Yeah. So that lore again stretches through every culture.
Yeah, and a lot of like at the end of my notes was actually me transcribing or copy and pasting Jeff's notes that he had put on there, because this was his suggestion to put in, was that a lot of what is described as Wendigo or Wendigo psychosis just comes from racism passed down from like the first Europeans that came here and took notes and stuff. So
yeah, totally. Yeah. An interesting thing for sure. Like, I just love the description. I hope you find a really cool picture, because like the description of the Wendigo is like super frightening, really. Like, when you think about it, right? And I wonder, because like that's the only ones you could find. There aren't any like traditional Wendigo imagery thing. Most of the drawings are like a freakishly tall kind of horse deer, antlers, skinny, loping, kind of just big thing
with like wispy black hair.
Like we had this drummer in one of my old bands named Fred. Fred had wispy hair.
Fred was a Wendigo.
Fred was a Wendigo. Yeah, it was weird. I was waking up, he's nibbling on my toes. I'm like, what are you doing? I just thought he was a weird freak. It turns out he's a Wendigo. Gross. Poor Fred. We're in the top two now. The top two.
Oh yeah.
Which one?
The top number two is Jeff's favorite cryptid.
My number one, and Dale's number one.
My number one. So spoiler.
This is the Dale show, so I'll go first. I'll be number two.
Yeah, because yours is actually the same one from the blue pills, red pills, white pills episode we did.
That's correct. So I will. This one is interesting. No, it's fine.
Okay.
It's totally okay.
Yeah.
The number two cryptid, and my personal favorite cryptid, is the Montauk Monster. Love the Montauk Monster. And one of the reasons why I love this one so much is that there's an actual picture of the Montauk Monster.
Yeah.
So like you can look it up and it's clear and it's like actually legible and you can see it plain as day. The Montauk Monster was an animal carcass that washed ashore on a beach near the business district of Montauk, New York in July 2008. The identity of the creature and the veracity of the stories surrounding it have been the subject of controversy.
See,
And
reading's
speculation.
hard.
I can't do it either. It's hard. Reading is difficult. The corpse was eventually decided by experts to be that of a water-degraded raccoon. So now, that being said, if you look at the picture, it has a beak.
Mhm.
It has a beak. So it's still not proven as to what it is. Most experts believe it to be a degraded raccoon, but there's not really a definitive answer. And there's actually 2 existing photos. So the Montauk Monster is very specifically from Montauk, New York. There's also a picture of one in Panama that is extremely similar. So if you
Panama.
Panama. Anyway, if you Google the Panama Montauk Monster, it's an extremely similar looking creature. And there's a third one that is a little more dubious. That's a Thailand Montauk Monster. One of the biggest pieces of it was that, like, people had originally believed that it was an escaped monster from an animal testing facility in that region. So we did talk about this before. So in that region was also where they're conducting the Manhattan Project, which is also the story harkening back to earlier in this episode where we were discussing the Watchmen, which is also, that's part of that story as well. So yeah, so that's all in the sort of same general vicinity, right, where all of that was taking place.
Yes.
The Manhattan Project wasn't necessarily happening in Manhattan. It was just called that, and it was in upstate New York in Montauk, in that region.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's funny because this is one of those things, like Jeff said, that it started with a picture, and so everybody's like, oh, that looks like that. But since we have the photographic evidence, people have been like, what'll happen is, like, they said it was a raccoon, and then someone will be like, well, the legs are too long in proportion to the body to be a raccoon. And someone's like, oh, it's a sea turtle. And then they're like, sea turtles don't have fur or teeth. And then they're like, it's a big rodent. And they're like, rodents have 2 large distinctive incisor teeth in the front of their mouths, whereas this one looks like a beak. And then they'll be like, it's one of the things they called it was a dog.
Yeah.
Or another canine like a coyote. And they said the corpse is dog-like, but the eye ridge and feet don't match.
Totally, because the feet are like almost flipper-like at the front and like dog paws at the back. So it's like, yeah, it's very interesting. And because it's from 2008, there's an actual decent picture of it too, right? So like, and you can see it, you can look at it all you want. And like, I don't think anybody actually, they went back to try to get it. And it was gone. Like the actual carcass was gone. So that's one of those things where it's like,
maybe the Montauk Monsters bury their dead.
Maybe they bury their dead or they come back for it, right?
Yeah.
So and it's interesting because like it's been on a bunch of different TV shows, right? Like it was on an episode of Ancient Aliens. It was on that Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura show, and Gawker featured it, or Rip Gawker or not, whatever. I don't give a fuck. But there's all kinds of stuff, right? Like it's sort of like, it's one of those ones that it makes the rounds too. So like, that's what I find interesting. Every once in a while, someone's like, "Ooh, the Montauk Monster," and they've never heard of it before, and they're like, "Oh my God, there's an actual picture of it." And so it sparks that curiosity of like, is it a cryptid? But no, it's an actual thing. But what is it? And no one can get from the picture exactly what it is, which makes it a wonderful cryptid because it exists, but it also doesn't exist. It's perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, and my number one, and this is me being a dickhead again because this is my loophole to have a fucking werewolf as my number one cryptid yet again. Suck it.
Oh yeah, I couldn't even breathe for a second there. Still has got to get a werewolf in there. Oh,
they don't count as cryptids, so I just find cryptids that are probably werewolves.
Oh my God, I'm gonna yell at me because I slapped the table and it makes too much noise in the microphone. Oh, I'm crying. I'm crying over here. Oh my God. It's a fucking werewolf, people. It's a werewolf. They'll put a werewolf as number one.
My favorite cryptid was the Yinatalushi because it was the First Nations witch turned into a werewolf. And on this list, it is the Michigan Dogman. was allegedly witnessed in 1887 in Wexford County, Michigan. The creature is described as a 7-foot-tall, blue-eyed or amber-eyed bipedal canine-like animal with the torso of a man and fearsome howl that sounds like a human scream, which would just make it a human scream, would it not?
That would make it a human scream. A fearsome howl that sounds like a human scream. So a human scream then?
Yeah. Just me screaming at the moon. According to
that's Dale. That's his Dale screaming. He's mad.
According to legends, the Michigan Dogman appears in a 10-year cycle that falls on years ending in 7. This is nice because 7, like if you're into numerology and occultism, 7's like a very important number. Sightings have been reported in several locations throughout Michigan, primarily in the northwestern quadrant I'm going to start over. Several locations throughout Michigan, primarily in the northwestern quadrant of the Lower Peninsula. You can tell we've been doing this for 2 hours because I'm illiterate now.
I can't read anything. He's got his glasses on.
Yeah. The first alleged encounter of the Michigan Dogman occurred in 1887 in Wexford County, when 2 lumberjacks saw a creature which they described as having a man's body and a dog's head. Werewolf.
Dun, dun, dun. It's a werewolf.
In 1937 in Paris, Michigan, Robert Fortney was attacked by 5 wild dogs and said that one of the 5 walked on 2 legs. Reports of similar creatures also came from Allegan County in the 1950s and in the Manistee and Cross Village in 1967. I love this because not only was it a werewolf, but it was a werewolf with 5 wolves as its like coven. It's so awesome. And you only see it once every 10 years, ending in a 7. I'm gonna hey, you want to make a Dale Show field trip?
2027. We're going to Michigan. 2027
to the Lower Peninsula of Michigan. Oh, that'd be so rad if we got to see
I'm in. I'll go with you, man. I'll totally go with you. We got a road trip. That's something to look forward to. We're gonna, that'll be good.
Dude, in 5 years to like plan, and the best is we'll like we're like in 5 years we're gonna do this, and we'll just leave it till 2 weeks before we go.
We gotta go to Michigan.
What if we could go see the Montauk Monster place while we're down there?
Oh, we can't. No, that's really far away. Michigan's like below Windsor, Ontario.
I have to look at a map.
Michigan is below Windsor, on like Detroit is below Windsor in Ontario. New York is not really super near there. Buffalo is close, but like where Montauk is, it's not really there.
Okay, so I'm looking at Michigan. Oh yeah. Oh,
a little far.
That's where Chicago is?
That's where Chicago is. It's right there.
On this episode of the Dale Show, Dale learns
American geography. Yeah, Illinois.
Oh, dude, there's so much shit crammed in there. You got Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit.
This is what I'm saying. This is bumping. Yeah, man. This is what I'm talking about. Like that Eastern United States area is so crammed full of all those famous cities. It's all in like that one area. It's still like pretty far away from each other, but you know, they're a lot closer than anything we have here.
Dude, there's like 6 NHL teams in this much map.
Yeah. Exactly. So remember when you hear stuff about the schedule about the Vancouver Canucks when they're in the playoffs and they have to fly and they have like travel days in between, it's because they're playing all those teams and all those teams are a bus ride away.
Okay, so where's Montauk?
Montauk is northern New York.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to figure out. Is it okay? Wait, but I'm guessing, is it on the ocean coast?
It is.
Like by Port Chester.
Yeah, Portchester. Yeah, it's Long Island, New York. It's like all the way. It's on that little like peninsula. It sticks. You can take a train there from Manhattan.
Yeah, wow!
It's like literally on this little peninsula. It's at the very tip. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the eastern tip of Long Island. So okay,
correct. It's just below Connecticut and Massachusetts. So it's like it's closer to Montreal than it is to Toronto.
Oh yeah, you weren't lying. That's pretty far.
I'm not lying. It's pretty far.
So from Montauk to
Montauk to Michigan's a good solid 6-8 hours.
That's like, I'm just gonna do a finger measurement to give me Canadian distances, that's like Vancouver to Edmonton.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like a
still
14-hour
stretch.
drive.
Totally.
But you probably have to go through a lot of cities. Dude,
You do.
Vancouver to Edmonton in the States, you have so many big cities.
Ask Derek about Philadelphia and like its proximity to everything. Like Philadelphia is like kind of the epicenter. Everything kind of goes around it from there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's you can't really get like Michigan's a weird one because it's sort of like tucked in under the Great Lakes there. So it's sort of
that's why it's always
a little
so
further away from things.
Fudging cold because they get the lake effect or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Dude, the craziest thing is every time I look at the East Coast of the US, it's like I've never seen it before. Cause I always I've had this like dawning realization, like at least 6 times where like all this shit is so close. And like all the NHL teams are right there. And then I just forget, man, we're so spread out in it.
We are so spread out here, right? Yeah. I mean, when you can drive when I go to Kamloops, right? It's 4 hours away from here, but there's like after Hope, there's nothing. Like between Hope and Kamloops, there's Merritt.
Yeah.
There's one like really tiny city. Other than that, there's no other cities. And in the States, you can just drive and there's like, even in Oregon, like out here in the West, there's Ashland, there's all these little places off the highway that have like little towns full of people all the way across it. We have no population here in Canada and it's like everything's so far away.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we haven't seen Bigfoot, because there's too much land and not enough people.
Yeah, like the distance from Calgary to Vancouver, if you do a circle, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 NHL teams. You got like Washington, Philadelphia, Columbus, Toronto, Detroit. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's madness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Cryptids.
This is why we haven't seen any cryptids in Canada. You notice other than Sasquatch, which actually is like Pacific Northwest kind of region, which is what the US describes as this area, which is technically Pacific Southwest for us. But it's this is that region where they talk about there's way more people in Washington State than there are in BC. Well, there's not than BC, but there's like so many more people there. There's so many more options to see things. Like we haven't seen shit all for cryptids up here because there's so much land and not enough people. Other than Ogopogo.
Like there's 4 million people in BC, 5 million?
Yeah, something like
I
that.
think.
Yeah.
And sorry.
My favorite comparison is that all of Canada is 1 million people more than the state of California.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Right? So like the state of California in the United States is like 36 million people and Canada's like 37 million people. The whole country.
And if you think about it, like landmass wise, Canada, even though most of it's up in the north where nobody lives, Canada has twice as much landmass and 1/10 of the people that the states have, because we have 33 million and the states has like 370 million.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
So like when you start thinking about scale and economies of scale and the ability to see cryptids, it's less here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, which you figure would be good, because you figure we could just go into the bush and find like a Sasquatch village or something.
You would think you would find a Sasquatch village. I would love to find a Sasquatch village, just hanging out. Like it would be like the Ewok village from Star Wars, but on the ground.
Yes.
That's sort of my theory. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that concludes our top 37 list of cryptids.
I love that it was 37 and the top 5 were 3 asinine ones and 2 legit ones. That made my day.
Love how number 1 was just a Dale troll.
Fucking werewolf. It was a Dale troll at the end.
It's all me being passive aggressive because you said I couldn't have a werewolf as a cryptid like months ago.
Found a fucking way to get one in there. Oh man. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on the Dale Show. I hope you enjoyed cryptids. If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm mostly just mad about my privilege. It's at Mr. Goats.
If you're mad, if I'm Super Dalebot on Twitter, so I'm trying not to cough while I'm talking here.
If you want to talk about werewolves and
I have less riches and stuff than Jeff, so I'm obviously a better person by the Twitter scale. So if you want to just come by and compliment me on how pure my soul is, I'm open to it. But if you had
handsome and
if you feel like I've left off any cryptids or anything, or we left off, and you feel like it was a crime against cryptid humanity, let us know, and we can mention them we can even do a supplementary one if we get enough requests and stuff.
Cryptids we missed on the Dale Show.
Like, cryptids we missed. It'll be like
cryptids we missed.
In memorandum cryptids.
Yeah, totally. There's like soft music playing in the background. Oh, I can't believe we missed this one out.
If you like the show, please rate and review. I know that if you actually write reviews, it kicks us up the algorithm, and then we'll get into more ear holes. If you are just listening to this, I mentioned it in the podcast, especially these cryptid lists, because I'll put a picture of each cryptid as we're talking about it. Just go to YouTube, search The Dale Show, and you'll find it. It should be good. And I think that's it.
Sweet.
Anything else? Oh, I have a Patreon. It's just called The Dale Show Patreon. If you go there, you could sign up. Yeah, if you like these mugs, just let me know. I have the special you can't get them through the online store in Redbubble because they're a different style of mug. Yeah, we'll
hook you up with the good ones if you
talk to me. I send them to Costco. They send them back to me because they're way cheaper. But if you want to get some
I can attest.
As
a coffee mug guy and using coffee mugs every day, these ones are awesome. They're not like, I got a couple of coffee mugs from some really famous artists and people out there, and they're like, they've all fallen apart and like you can't see anything on them. These ones have been solid the whole time. They're really great.
Yeah, dude. Costco makes them with like fucking radioactivity. They're so good.
Oh, there's no way that's healthy for me. I'm gonna get tooth worms now.
Plus, these are 15-ounce mugs, and the regular mugs are 11 ounce. So these are nice and big. Because if you're like me,
a whole can of bargain soda.
If you're a full-bodied man, you need more coffee than just those little tiny mugs. I think this is the equivalent of a grande, but those are 16 ounce, I believe. Anyways, regular mugs are like a tall. These are like a grande. That's the difference. If you sign up for Patreon, you could do a tiered thing where it's like you sign up, and then after months you get stickers, and then it ends up being a hoodie. Other than that, thanks for listening.
Thank you very much.